So I just got done watching Toy Story 5 and I can't wait to talk to you about it. Now, this review is going to be split up in two sections. First part is going to be spoiler free, and the next part is going to be getting into the nitty gritty and all those spoilers about this film. Overall, I think this is a good film to bring your 8 to 12-year-old kid to. I think they're going to be overall enjoyable. I think it's going to be able to be something that the parents can enjoy for the most parts. There are some parts where you like, can we just speed it up a little bit? Can we get it over with? But overall, I think it's a good enough family film. There's some themes I question throughout the film, but nothing that you're like, oh my god, I'm bringing my kid to this. Nothing really like that. It's a good enough story for young ones and for family members to come along. I particularly liked how they were trying to introduce the issues with social media. I thought those themes were well put into the film. I thought maybe they could have done a little bit better, but that's just my personal opinion. I thought they still did a good enough job as is. I thought the themes of trying to make friends and the difficulty that could be done, I thought they did a good job with that. I liked how they brought in a new element to the film that I think you're going to really enjoy that we haven't seen in any of the other Toy Story films. I thought was a breath of fresh air, and I really thought it helped the plot along. Now, maybe that's just me not seeing Toy Story 4. I'm sorry, I just completely disregarded that film. I just looked like trash. Sorry if this theme was already in there. Sorry about that. But I thought they executed well and helped the story. I do think the film could have been shortened up by about 20 minutes. There's a particular group of characters that really don't have any impact on the film except for one moment. Otherwise, besides that one moment in the film, okay. I take that back. There are two moments these characters play into the film, but really, it's just the main major one. I didn't think that they should really have as much focus as they did. It was fun, but I don't really think they needed to be in there too much, in my personal opinion. With that said, we did get to see Buzz and Woody and Jessie interacting with each other. That was fun to see the trio back together. It's kind of like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman all back together. It was a pretty good film. With that said, I'm going to be pausing the non-spoiler review here, and we're going to be getting into spoilers at this point in time. That's pretty much because everything else I want to talk about, I can't really get into without spoiling it. So first, the characters that didn't really need to be there, the army of Buzz Lightyears. Don't get me wrong, I liked seeing them, but they didn't have any effect on the entire story until the end of the film. And that wouldn't be a big deal if it wasn't that in the very beginning we first see this army of Buzz Lightyears wake up on an island. Then, in the next early part of the film, we see them get to the shore to a shipping container. Then the next, they are off on a camping trip. And then finally at the end, they actually become important to the story. Which I'm like, you couldn't have told us in a better way. You couldn't have you had to drag this throughout the film. This was literally padding that if you cut it out, it doesn't change anything except for just like, oh, there's an army of Buzz Lightyears. Okay, kind of makes sense with how Toy Story works, without toys being alive and running around. Okay, yeah, I can make the argument that that'd be happening. It just didn't really feel like a necessary good use of my time. Now, don't get me wrong, I would enjoy the film just focusing on the Buzz Lightyear army, just having them march around all over the place. It was fun, but was not part of the film, and it just takes you out of that. Every time you go over to Lightyears, you're like, okay, we just need to pad this out. Because honestly, this story is probably a 45-minute film. What happens here is Bonnie's trying to make friends. All her friends have iPads and Leopads, and so her parents get her an iPad and Leopad, and they just let her become addicted. Now, I get you're just using it as a storytelling tool, that in real life, the parents would actually be concerned about their kid being on these iPads so much. They'd be telling like, hey, you need to play, hey, we need to limit the screen time. But these are the most liberal parents that don't want to bother Bonnie at all. There's one point in the film where Lily Pad sends a message to her dad's phone that tells her like, hey, can you pack up my toys? As a parent, as an uncle, I'll be like, hey, let's pack up these toys together. Like, hey, get off your iPad and come help me. I'm not going to pack up these toys for you. It just felt very unauthentic to what an actual adult, an actual parent, an actual guardian would do when your niece, nephew, or child comes to like, hey, pack up my toys and put them into the garage. That just didn't make any sense to me. Like, the dad just not like, hey, Bonnie, come on, help me pack up these toys. Like, you gotta teach a kid some responsibility. You can't just acting as a servant, and that's kind of what it felt like at certain parts of this film. There's also parts that I'm wondering how Lily Pad got away with certain things without the parents monitoring what's being said or what's being done on the Lily Pad. It kind of mind-boggled me how paper-cuttered, unrealistic these parents are. In some respects, I understand, like, hey, you care about your kid, you want them to connect with people. You have a touching scene where Bonnie's struggling to make friends, and she's like, hey, why doesn't anyone want to be friends with me? And like, well, let's get her a Lily Pad, and maybe that'll magically make her friends. Like, I don't really know if that's really the way to go. Like, why not have a party? Why not invite a whole bunch of kids over and play together? There's several ways that the parents could have gone about this without needing Lily Pad, and I just thought it was kind of, it wasn't really thought of a great thing. Like, if it was a birthday present or a gift, like, hey, you're old enough now, here you go. It was just like, oh, you're having trouble making friends? Let's give you a piece of technology to make friends. Anyone who's been on social media knows that Facebook friends, Instagram friends aren't really friends. Like, yes, you can have close friends that have social media, but it's not real life. And so the fact that their parents thought that a piece of technology would help her make real life friends, I just find it hard to believe. I also have a struggle to see why Jessie is the leader of the toys at this point. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand why Woody was, because Woody was the toy, he was there at the beginning, he was Andy's favorite. But after Woody, it's Buzz. And to me, it just feels like Buzz Lightyear has just been, for lack of a better word, sidelined. Like, his masculinity has been taken away from him, he's very subservient. Why isn't Buzz Lightyear leading the toys? Why isn't he in charge? Like, Jessie, she never struck me as a leader. Like, at various points, it felt like you had Woody there, just like in a female voice, and that never, to me, growing up, felt like who Jessie was. That Jessie was outgoing, excited, and always going at it, but she was never really the leader that I thought both Woody and Buzz was. And throughout this whole movie, Buzz is just weak, kind of pathetic, kind of demasculated, like... like, they don't outright say it, but it happens so often. In fact, one of the parts that also happens to demasculate the characters is Woody at the end with Bo Peep, where she has flowers and she's like, hey, can you hold this so I can drive? Instead of like, hey, can you pick me up, or can you do something romantic with me? Like, they make the male characters in this film very feminine and very non-masculine. Like, I understand, like, when Buzz was doing something romantic with Jessie, he was struggling with it. Completely get that. That's a normal guy thing. Not bashing him there. But throughout these other parts, I just felt like these aren't the characters that we grew up with. You're kind of demasculating them for the sake of the female characters. I kind of felt that throughout this film. Maybe I'm wrong. I want to hear what you guys' thoughts are on that down below. With that, I want to go on to the Buzz Lightyears, where I saying that they were the individuals that didn't really feel like they added much. The two scenes that they really were prominent in was a scene where they showed up at the house and boosted the Wi-Fi signal, because these are current day Buzz Lightyears, so they have Wi-Fi boosters on them, and they were able to help these old electronic devices help them communicate between Bonnie and Blaze, which is this new girl, trying to make them friends. I just thought, I get that, but there should also be internet already in the house. Like, you shouldn't need all these Buzz Lightyears around here to come together around these specific toys in order to boost their signal. It just didn't make any sense there. Also, the only other part they played majorly was when they activated these drones on their backs and turned their wings so that they could fly. They could fly in and rescue Lily Pad from her foolish mistake of sending herself to the donation center, because she had made a massive mistake in causing Bonnie to go with friends that didn't actually care for her, and caused Bonnie to cry and lose her toys and feel very isolated, so she felt guilty for that. So she thought, like, okay, I made a mistake, I messed everything up, I'm just going to leave Bonnie and accept my punishment. And I'm like, really? That's the way that this machine would have gone? She wouldn't have tried to talk to any of the other toys like, hey guys, I made a mistake. We need to help Bonnie, because her just leaving doesn't solve Bonnie's problems. It's very selfish of this toy, and I don't think that she ever actually learns the lesson like, hey, what I did was selfish, except for having Jessie yell at her like, why did you leave? Like, you should have stayed. Like, I don't think she fully grasps what she did, in my personal opinion. And that's another thing. Everything seems very skin deep for a lot of these characters. At least maybe I'm misreading it. The only character that actually had any depth to them, I think, was Jessie and Bonnie to some extent. Now, Bonnie, she's not really a character. She's just more so an individual that's going through scenes and reacting to things that are happening to her. I never really felt for a moment that Bonnie was fully in control, that she was an actual individual. Like, there's things that happen around the world, that happen around her, but I never felt like she was an actual agent. And maybe that's wrong for me to think that, but whenever something would just, slightly go wrong or slightly embarrass her, she would just go the easy route. And maybe that's very human. That you could make the argument that's very much so a kid way of looking at things. So maybe I'm wrong on that. I want to hear what you guys' thoughts are on that. With that said, I did like Jessie meeting Blaze's other toys, discovering a true friend for Bonnie, and going through that process of discovering an actual place where Bonnie could be herself and actually play with somebody who wasn't always on their lily pad either. I thought that was very well done. It just so happened to still be at Jessie's old house, and where Jessie then learned that her old owner cherished her so much that she carved word into a tree that said Jessie was here, and down below was buried a whole bunch of treasures that weren't necessarily hers, but were her daughter's, that she named Jessie after her doll. At least that's what Jessie believes is what happened. And she realized that she actually had a major impact on her first kid's life, even though she thought that she was a complete failure and the kid just did not care for her, which couldn't be further from the case. So I did like that we got a little bit of closure in that regard. Otherwise, there's not really a whole much to hear. The other toys played nothing really much of importance. It was mostly background noise. I did like that Jessie had to learn that just because they're technical devices doesn't mean that the kids would stop playing with toys, but she had to learn that there's a way to utilize them to help bring people together and a proper way to handle tech. I thought that was a pretty good way of demonstrating in this film. But I want to hear what you guys' thoughts are. What do you think of this movie? Was this a masterpiece? Have I just spouted nonsense all the way through? I want to know. Let me know down below, and let me see a different way of looking at this film. As I said in the beginning, I think this is a good film to bring your 8 to 12-year-old kid to. I think most people will be able to watch it and be okay. I thought the demasculating of the male characters is a great disservice to this film. But with that said, I still think it was a good film. I'll probably put it on a 7 out of 10 of enjoyment. The kids in the theater that this film was made for did enjoy it. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. Now, whether you want them to take any particular lessons here on how male characters are supposed to act or how female characters are supposed to act, that's another story. But with that said, I want to say thank you. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Y'all take care now. Bye.